I find human behavior to be fascinating. I find human motivation to be extremely interesting. What is it that drives us? Why do we do the things that we do? I mean, so many different reasons, so many different reasons. What's important about this? Well, I think that we need to have a deep and good, strong understanding of who we are, our preferences, what it is that is animating our behavior, why it is that I am jumping out of bed in the morning, why it is that I cannot get my butt out of bed in the morning. Whew, why am I doing the things that I am doing? Why am I so pissed off? Why am I so happy? Getting to know ourselves. That is the work, getting to live a life that is really true to myself. That's the promise, that's the opportunity. And to do anything other than that, I think is a real shame. Now, does that mean that I want you to only do things that are lighting you up and only do things that are perfectly aligned with who you are and where you are going? Well, no, because I live in the real world, and here in the real world, there are real world scenarios, situations, and outcomes, and I have a lot of responsibility and a lot of things pulling on me and things that I want to invest in and push against and push alongside and back on and everything else. So, what is your motivation? Think about yourself like an actor and you're asking the director, "What's my motivation? What's my motivation?" It's funny when you think about that actor, but again, it's not quite as funny if you're sitting there and you have no idea what is really motivating you and really driving you. The danger here is that you are lying to yourself and you're saying, "No, I'm motivated by helping other people," which is awesome if that's what you're motivated by. But if you're saying, "I want to help other people," but you really just want to get rich, well, I don't want to BS other people, but I definitely don't want to BS myself. And when we come to the realization that we have one crack at this deal, we got one lap around the track, which means we have a finite amount of time to be pursuing the things that we want, to be doing the things that we want to do. What is the fuel that drives that? That's what our motivation is. I believe that a big part of the work of understanding ourselves and our preferences and our values, our wants, our needs, our desires is being brutally honest with ourselves, interrogating reality, saying, where am I hiding? Where am I lying? And investigating and exploring the shadow that we all have, that deep, dark place, those deep, dark wants, things that maybe we're ashamed of or we're embarrassed of. Because again, the trouble is, you think you have time. I I I get it because it took me a long time to sort of figure this stuff out. And I'm beating this one up quite a bit, but I love talking about it. I just figured out when I turned 45, I'm 46 now. When I turned 45, I was like, oh my God, 45 is the same distance from 30 as it is to 60. Whew, I need to, it really sort of hastened everything, gave things a deeper sense of importance. Not like a midlife crisis, because it's not a crisis, and it could be an awakening, but it's just a recognition. It's a recognition that, yeah, I've lived a great life. I'm proud of so much of the work that I've done, and I've got so much more to do. And I have been guilty in the past of blowing smoke up my own butt and BSing myself. When reality is, I should just lean into whatever it is that I want and stop trying to make other people happy. Not that anybody else has any idea what my motivations are, but just how I present myself, how I think about things, because I want those to square up. I want to be true to myself. I want to be true to my motivations, true to my wants, true to my needs, all of these things. So I know that it's really important to be super clear on the different archetypes that are out there, the different archetypes which are the outlaw, the everyman woman, the sage, the jester. There's a handful of them. And I think it's really important that you understand how you want to think of yourself in that context, and then how you want other people to perceive you. And I also think that human motivation is not dissimilar to that. So understanding the different types of human motivation and then understanding which one you are. And you're maybe going to be several. You're going to be motivated by lots of different things. And what you're motivated by at age 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 55, 75 are all going to be different. We talked about your preferences and understanding ourselves. That's what this is all about. So, with human motivation, it comes from lots of different places. And understanding what my motivations are from a personal standpoint, from a family standpoint, all of it, from a professional standpoint, are really, really important. So, what I'm going to do is go through the different forms of human motivation, think about, just give you a brief overview and talk a little bit about each one, and then figure out, okay, how do I square this circle if I'm not where I want to be, or if I'm focused too much on one area that I'm not being true to myself, what do I do? And then how do I get closer to living in alignment with who I am, the kind of work that I want to be doing, and then what it is that is animating or driving me. It's so key. It's figuring out what that is and being, again, really honest with yourself, because we got one crack at this deal. So why live somebody else's motivation? Why live somebody else's life? I want you to feel really good about you yourself, the work that you're doing, and why it is that you're doing it. And it's not anybody else's business. It's not your business what other people think of you. So let your freak flag fly. Just be yourself. And that's not easy to do. So to be ourselves, we have to understand ourselves, and then we can talk about actually putting that into practice. Kind of like literacy and wellness. You can really know yourself, but if you're not living in a way that's true to who you are, well, then you're missing it. And if you have no idea who you are and you're just out there doing stuff, then that doesn't work either. So obviously, I've arrived at this point in time, and you have arrived at this point in time doing what you have always done. So, has it gotten you where you want to go, or will it get you to where you want to go in the future? I don't know. What I'm advocating is that you just get as clear as you possibly can about as many of these things as you possibly can, and then we let things go and let chips fall where they may. So, one of the main drivers to human motivation is power. And that's our desire to influence and control, to have authority over different situations or other people. That seems pretty obvious. You want influence. We have a whole new crop, a whole career. Everybody wants to be an influencer. So that suggests to me that we are motivated by the ability to shape outcomes or to be a leader, to dictate terms, all of these kinds of things. So how much of your behavior, how much of your life is dedicated or driven by your desire for power or your current possession of it and your desire to hold on to it? The next is, of course, money. So the desire for wealth and financial security, material success, the trappings of success. And these are huge, huge. Status. It's a desire for comfort and security, providing for others, and also status. You want to look flashy, which is great. You want to do those things. So how much of your motivation is driven by the desire for wealth? No. The next is significance. Significance. Feel important, valued, respected by others. We want to be recognized. We want to feel like the work that we're doing is important. And while so many of us seem to just want to be part of the crowd and to blend in and get the same as everybody else, I think that there's a lot of BS going on there. So, if you want to be significant, lean into it. Don't run from it. Don't BS. Don't hide from it. The next one is control. We want to have autonomy and influence over our lives and our decisions. That's for sure me. I'm interested in doing what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. So I want to have freedom from external pressure. I want to be able to make my own choices. I want a strong locus of control. I want a strong sense of personal agency. That's really important to me. The next is recognition. So you want to be approved. You want approval. You want to be praised. You want acknowledgement from others, feeling validated. Totally get that. A lot of people are driven by achievement. A lot of people are driven by success, accomplishing goals, overcoming challenges, doing the what was thought to be impossible. Find success. So you're goal oriented. You like accomplishing things. You like getting good at them. You like achieving mastery. You want to pursue excellence. You live by a standard. You hold yourself to it. You talk about it. You think about it. It's a good one. The next is growth and learning. So, the desire to improve oneself, to develop new skills. Um, I think that if you find personal development to be stimulating, to be energizing, well, then obviously you are motivated by this. Altruism and contribution. When I was kicking around or kidding about up top, so I'm just interested in helping people. Okay, great. That's true, then that's true. Desire to help others, to contribute, to have a positive impact in the world. Steve Jobs said, here to make a dent in the universe. If not, what's the point? If we're not going to do that, what's the point of all of it? Maybe you're a person who's motivated by compassion, empathy, or sense of duty to make things better, looking for purpose and fulfillment. I know that that's certainly me, so I appreciate that very much. We're motivated by love. We're motivated by relationships. We want sexual partners. We want romantic partners. We want friends. We want connection to other people. I'm looking for emotional fulfillment, companionship, all of these things. Super important. And that is, if that's not what has animated the human species and just animals on planet striving to meet our biological imperative of continuing the species and having kids and offspring and all that stuff, that is a story as old as time right there. A couple more, status and belonging. It's the need to fit in. So I was talking about the importance of making your own way. Well, some people just want to feel like they are fitting in, they're part of a group, or they've achieved a level of status. So I get that. You're interested in being an alumni of a great school. You're interested in being a member of a country club, whatever it is. It's important. I get it. Security and stability is the last one. I want safety, predictability. I don't have to worry about stuff. So this is you, then that's great. And that is a great thing. You don't want to be in a career where there's a lot of upheaval. Unfortunately, every career is about to experience a lot of upheaval. So this is a toughie, but it just is what it is. I totally get it. So just went through 11 or so of those. Which one resonated the most? And again, let's not kid ourselves and think that it's just going to be one. Because it could be that you are motivated by a lot of these or a little bit of all of them. It's just a function of being honest with ourselves because there is a substantial downside to being dishonest with ourselves about what our motivations are. And if we are not really honest with ourselves, what's going to happen is we're going to know that we are doing things and pursuing things that's just not our agenda. It's not what our biggest desires are. And so I think that that's going to lead to a lot of internal conflict and, at the very least, dissatisfaction. And of course, there's going to be cognitive dissonance, which is just the psychological state where you're in conflict. What you say is this, but what you think is this. So going back to the idea of, I am a servant leader and I'm interested in helping people. That's great. But if you just want power and influence, well, that's not necessarily aligned. I'm not saying it's totally not aligned, but it's not necessarily completely aligned. If we don't acknowledge our true motivations, we will make decisions based on motivations, or rather, we'll make decisions that are not aligned with what we really want. So that's a bad decision. You can make a decision based on wanting to help other people. But again, if what you want is to get rich, well, you are short-circuiting your own wiring and your own potential or probability of getting the thing that you actually want because you are thinking that you should be doing something different based on some kind of assumption. So that's not a healthy thing. You don't want to do that. It's going to cause stress. It's going to cause compromised relationships. It's going to stunt your personal growth. And fundamentally, it's going to it's going to preclude you from realizing your fullest potential. And I can tell you what really motivates me. One of the things that really motivates me is my desire to realize my fullest potential. One of my favorite sayings is arete. It's a Greek word that its literal meaning is virtue, but it's what it really means is that what I can be, I must be. So recognizing this is what I perceive my fullest potential to be, and if I'm nowhere close to that, if I'm not on the path to realizing it, that's going to make me a really unhappy person. It's going to lead to frustration. It's going to lead to just feeling like I'm drifting. I'm not making progress, which again is not going to make this person happy. Then, when we're doing that, when we're consistently living somebody else's story, somebody else's motivations, I'm not going to be as resilient. I'm going to give up quicker. I'm not going to stick out the tough times because what's on the other side of sticking it out, what's on the other side of the discomfort is not what I really want. So I need to get really clear. This is what I want. And I understand why I want it. And when I do that, how does it go? He with he with a Y can endure any how. Elie Wiesel, or is that Viktor Frankl? I think that was Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. If you've got a why, you can deal with any how. So, and again, going back to one of the original ideas here, one of the first ideas, none of my ideas are original, by the way. One of my first ideas was that I'm not interested in self-deception. I'm not interested in manipulating myself. In fact, quite the opposite. And I am also well aware that I have this amazing ability to rationalize why it is that things are the way they are. And that is a human weapon of mass destruction because it just causes me to talk myself into being happy or satisfied or okay with what I have, even though it's completely or potentially the opposite of what it is that I want. So I'm not interested in self-deception. So how do we do this? How do we check in? Because maybe I got it right 10 years ago, but now my preferences have changed. I just my life is different. I've done a lot of different things. So I want you to reflect. Let's introspect and say, okay, hey, how am I doing? How happy am I? Why am I driving as hard as I am? Why am I charging ahead so hard? Or why am I lacking motivation? Why am I unable to drag my butt out of bed in the morning? So having important conversations with ourselves. But if you're fortunate enough to have a mentor that you feel like you trust and you can have a frank and candid conversation with, well, that's such an important thing. Being able to have a sounding board and have conversations about these things. It's important that we are always checking in on on our values, on our goals, and just making sure that these things are lined up. Same kind of thing I was just talking about. And then accountability. Oh my goodness. Again, if it's just me left to my own devices, not necessarily going to do all the really important things, the hard things, the little things that I have to do. So find somebody that can keep you accountable, hold you accountable to the things that you know you need to be doing, but it's not easy to actually do them. And then, of course, we have to be able to embrace discomfort, especially if we're trying to change things. If you desire change, a change is required. And whenever you're making changes, discomfort is going to be a feature to that for sure. So there you go. Motivation. What is your archetype? How do you want to be perceived? How do you want to perceive yourself? Think about yourself. How do you want others to do it? And then what is it that's really driving you? And be really honest with yourself about what those motivations are and what those drivers are. No matter how ugly you think that it might be, or how tasteless you think that it might be, or how tasteless and unseeming you think other people might think you. And then lean in and do those things anyway, because life is too short to be living on somebody else's motivations or somebody else's goals or wants or dreams, da, 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 which is information that you already know. But as the saying goes, we need to be reminded more than we need to be instructed. For one more reminder, you do your part by doing your best.